Welcome to the No Limits podcast, where breakthrough strategies in therapeutic education help neurodivergent children learn, connect, and grow in powerful new ways.
Hi, and welcome to the No Limits podcast. Today, we're going to learn how to create your waiver budget from the QSI and the SANs. Here is the breakdown for the core assessment tools used by the Agency for Persons with Disabilities. One of the tools is the Questionnaire Situational Information, or the QSI, primary tool for children and youth. Who it applies to is birth through age 15. The purpose is to capture daily care, supervision, health, and safety needs. How it works: parents, caregivers, reports functional needs, and that's what it's based on, functional, not diagnosis at this point. APD staff inputs responses. It focuses on what the child needs to help with in their everyday life for their health and safety. What is the role for the QSI and the iBudget? It's used to help determine the iBudget allocations for children. The key focus is the hands-on support, safety, risk, medical, and behavioral supervisions. The other way they assess the needs is the SANs. A SANs is used when a client has significant additional needs that exceeds the algorithm amount or can't be met in the current iBudget. Completing the verification of available services is the first step. Before submitting the SANs, the waiver coordinator must complete this step in the iConnect no later than 30 days before the SANs submission. So this is already having your budget, and now we want to increase your budget because something happened. The support coordinator needs to know if there's any natural community supports available or any third-party payers other than the waiver services or resources. This is required to meet part of the SANs criteria under the law. So cost plans to reflect what's needed, which is what your waiver coordinator will also submit, that reflects the specific waiver services and supports being requested. Creating the SANs and requesting an iConnect will then trigger the APD to look at the case and maybe add additional funds. So it's a complicated service or process, but working with your support coordinator to complete these needed material to justify it is the part of the SANs that is the most important. What happens next is the workflow includes completing it and editing the services and including the recommendations. Then after that, the proposed budget for these services and who will be providing them, and submitting all that documentation to the APD. The APD will not consider incomplete SANs that lack the material and information needed to decide if the criteria are met. The Agency for Persons with Disabilities will review and make a decision. The APD will contact the provider, the support coordinator, and yourself to see if the services that were requested will be approved or denied, or if more documentation is needed. Doing a SANs will get you durable medical equipment that is like wheelchairs, bath chairs. In that, you will have to get bids and documentation, but you're in control of what's happening. You'll get clinical justification for all of these items between PT and OT, and maybe speech therapy if it's a speech therapist device. You can do environmental accessibility adaptations to your home. If you rent, if your landlord approves, you can get them done there. This program is to empower you to make a better life for your child. Your home accessibility assessment went over like a threshold of a ramp or things like that can be put into your iBudget for a one-time use, or increase your personal supports, right? Understanding that your child might need 24/7 care instead of just 16 hours a day. Also a personal emergency response and things like that. Documentation is always the key in getting anything that you want from the waiver done. So you need to have your team around you. As you build your team, OT, PT, behavioral supports, ABA, always make sure that they understand your whole situation, right? Because if you don't speak up and you don't know what you need and what or where your child is going, which is another thing. When you are looking at your child's life, look at 3 to 5 years ahead. See what's going on, because that support plan can change over time. So when you do things like the QSI and get your original budget, and then if you need the SANs for extraordinary needs, that can be updated, right? This is where you are a team with your waiver support coordinator. Documentation of everything you do is very important, and how you do it. For complex medical conditions or chronic comorbidity conditions, the SANS works well. If a new diagnosis comes up, that always impacts the budget. But the one thing I want you to know is that you are in control. You are in control of what happens to your life, right? And that's what I want the main point to be with all this information, that you can make a difference in your child's life. Thanks for coming to the No Limits podcast today. Next week, it's going to be about the CDC Plus and how that self-directed program can empower you to hire and pick who works with your child and also manage the way your family lives. See you next time.